hot, so we went out a little earlier at 8:30. Now we finished up with practice, and now they go to meetings. So it's a long day for them. It's almost like a pro day. This is kind of pro football kind of does. They go out in the morning, have meetings in the afternoon, in the evening, and they go home. So we're kind of on that schedule. They hung in there. It was very, it's hard. First day of practice, and I think the thing that's interesting for us, I mentioned to the football team, we only played 4 games last year. So this is a long season. This is a 12-game season. We don't know what that feels like. We had some new coaches last year. Only coached 4 games. They didn't coach 2. So I think we have to be ready for that all of a sudden, along with preparing for the season. But I just think how we deal with the season is very important. I didn't anticipate, and I don't think you folks anticipated it either, that we still be wearing masks. So that kind of tells you where we're at. There's still that opponent that is invisible that we're playing against, and we're very aware of that. Our guys have done a fabulous job when it comes to the vaccinations. We're at a good place, and we're getting better each day, which is good. So that's important, and I think this team understands what happened to us last year. It was a lot of fun for anybody. So going forward, our plan is very simple. Tomorrow we get to show up and do it again, and we got to be better. And that's kind of our mindset this whole season, just win the day. And tomorrow's a new day, and we have to get better collectively. So that's my opening statement. Good to see you folks again.
Tim Healy, ASU Radio. Good to see you, Coach.
Tim, my man.
How are you, sir?
How you doing?
My question is, given all the experience, all the talent you have coming back, the lofty expectations in some quarters, how would you evaluate your team's mindset entering this season? Do you think they consider themselves to be the hunters or maybe the hunted?
I think they consider themselves excited about the season. And whether you want to put it either way, and I told them, we're not going to get involved in polls or how people perceive this football team. There's a lot of young men that have come back from last season. They could have left. But I think they feel like, you know what, let's give this thing a run. And it's exciting to see them. It was exciting to watch them in the spring. The different type of mindset this football team has, because you have so many returners. And so that's kind of fun to watch. I've always said this, you want the team to be run by the players. This team is run by the players. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And what's great about these guys is they're just focused in. They're just focused in on, this is what we got to do. This is how we're going to do it. We got great leadership in a lot of different positions. And we've got some young, talented players, besides the ones that played last year, that came in with this new group that will have a chance to help us.
Doug Howard, The Athletic. Herb, there weren't a lot of passes when you guys were in 11-11 and Skelly that weren't deflected, or the defense looked really fast, particularly on the back end. Is that kind of what you were expecting, what you've been building back there?
Great observation, but know this, generally in football, when you start that first practice, the defense is always the end of the offense. Just the timing of all of it, and we didn't have pads on, and so the offensive line are a little bit of a disadvantage. But you make the point that the back end of our defense, even in the middle part too, the linebackers, they got a lot of experience. Secondary, a lot of experience. We've got some experienced defensive linemen, but I think it's starting to come together now. And we're not going to complicate it on defense. We're not. And I think AP is going to do a great job of really just kind of letting these guys play. And just use our talent, see how good our talent is versus someone else's talent. That's kind of our mentality.
Nick and then Michelle.
Yes, sir, Nick.
I'm good to see you. Nick King, 3TV, CBS 5. I know, A, you can't really say anything, and B, you had to address this last week, but I'm curious with the NCAA stuff, the off-the-field stuff, was there one conversation with the team, or what did you tell players about, for them, how to handle it?
Like I tell them all the time, every season, every year around here. don't let the outside noises affect what we need to do. It's our mindset. I think you folks have been around me long enough. Have I changed? And the players see me every day. Say, Coach is good. We're good. And that's what we're going to do. We're ready. We're going to prepare to play football. That's what we're here to do. Nothing else. And today was our first day, and tomorrow we get to go practice football again, which is a good thing.
Coach Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. You mentioned this team, the best teams are teams that are player-led.
Yes.
And we heard Chase out there a few times today, Chase being Chase, but even more so probably. Can you tell me about kind of how much Chase has matured in his leadership and how his leadership differs from that, say, of Jaden Daniels?
Well, he's been, he's the veteran. He was here before Jaden. He was here before I arrived. And I think the first day I took the job, Chase was one of the first guys I actually visited. And I knew he was, corner. And high school, he was a kind of offensive guy. And so we kind of had this bond. And it was fun to take him to the media day. And LA's first time he's ever been. And just, you could see the confidence in the guy in that he has earned the trust of all these guys in his football team because he's been there. And I told him this, I said, what's the proudest thing I am for you? You graduated. Graduate. And he laughs every time I tell him that. It's the truth. And he's been through a lot, but we need guys like that. And you're right, he has a voice. And it was fun to go to the media day with Chase and Jaden. Both those guys did a great job representing our football team.
Chris Carden, son of a source. The offense, just the passing game, especially this year. I know you guys want to open it up, score more points. Where do you think that things are at with the receivers, with Jaden being on the same page with all that, and your goal of being able to put your foot on some teams' throats?
Well, I think this, Jaden had the luxury, and Manny Wilkins had the luxury of playing with 2 first-round receivers. They're gone. Now, we've got some talented ones. And Jaden now is in a position, after playing with these guys last year, a bunch of these young guys. Frank was the veteran, but Frank got hurt and he opted out the rest of the year. And obviously, Frank's in the National Football League right now. But I think Jaden understands that he's going to have to be on point. He knows that I got to help these guys get better. And it's going to really be boiled down to this: ball placement. Ball placement. Where do I throw the ball where these guys can have some catchable balls where they don't have to do a lot of work? He ain't gonna have to do the work now. Right? You threw it to old number Killed, and you threw it to Ayuk. It's like you just throw it around him somewhere and then mess around and catch it. Right? We've got some guys that got that ability, but they haven't had enough games yet. I'm looking at that receiver group and watching them the last 2 games. And one of the things we ran into, we didn't throw it, right? One was the condition of the game, the last game, and we ran the ball, and that's where we're kind of trying to figure this out. You got to score points, you got to throw. To win football games, you got to run. We have some good runners. It'll be interesting to see how people play us defensively when it comes what they want to do with the run game. If they put 8 guys in the box, then Jaden and those receivers, they got to find ways to get open. And that's going to be kind of interesting how every week someone will have a different plan of how they want to defend us. That's going to be kind of fun.
Michael, you're next. Chris, can you pass yours to Nick?
Coach, Michael Carrollton, Pac-12 football.
Yes.
To kind of piggyback off that, I mean, obviously last year we know the 4 games, the battle with COVID, but how do you feel that Jaden with those receivers with a full spring and a summer workout. How do you feel? I know it's day one, but how do you feel that they're clicking in their communications?
They're going to be fine. And the more I look at them and watch them today, I just watch their mannerisms today compared to last year. We really didn't have a camp. We had a training camp. So they were kind of going to play, we're not playing, oh, now we're playing. These guys never had a camp, they never had an off-season. This is nothing. Just kind of going to play football. And I watch them now, these young guys, and the work that Jaden has done with them after spring, getting together with these guys. I watched Chad Johnson's son. He caught a ball today, and he did that in the spring numerous times. I made a hard catch at Justin. He missed so many practices in the spring last year, it was like he wasn't even here. He's a different guy. It's just, they're just different. It's just, they grow, it seems like they grow up, you know, they're more confident. He's the guy we recruited. It showed up. It's like, okay, he makes those catches. Before, he wasn't, last time he wasn't in practice. So it's just, it's a different football team when it comes to those receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then Michelle.
Herm, you mentioned the running backs, and we saw how they finished the season last year. I saw a picture that the team account tweeted maybe in the spring or summer of those guys with their shirts off. That was pretty impressive physically. How would you describe them physically, and what they're capable of?
Oh, they're two powerful players. They really are. And they run behind their pads. They're good runners. In the course of my history of playing football, coaching football, and just watching football, the good ones deliver the ball. And they're a little bit different in the sense that, you know, Chip, as big as he is, you just think that he's a straight line guy. And he's really not. He can make you miss and he can run. And the other one now, he's kind of, he reminds, and I shouldn't say this, because I don't like doing this to kids, but a good friend of mine that I recruited out of high school when I was at San Diego State was Marcus Allen. He was a senior when I was a senior in college. That's how far we go back. He's from Lincoln High School. And we're really close, we're really good friends. And we were trying to recruit San Diego State as a DB. Because he played DB, he was a runner, and USC was recruiting him. And I kept telling him, I said, you don't go to USC and play fullback. You come here and play corner, messing with him. He goes to USC, obviously. We know his career, right? We've been friends ever since, and eventually he comes to Kansas City when I'm on the coaching staff. And Rashad has a lot of Marcus's mannerisms. When you look at Marcus Allen, his height, his length, how he runs, kind of like, I'm not saying he's Marcus Allen. I don't want you to say, hey, coach, no, because Mark's going to call me now. But he knows about this kid too. And there's a lot of just little things that he does, and I call Marcus Cutty, because he always used to cut. I call him Cutty. And there's a lot of mannerisms there that I watch. And it's just like, it's kind of interesting. The hole is kind of not there, and he has this little kind of waits in the hole, and all of a sudden he spurts out. Right? And that was kind of Marcus. When he, could catch the ball, and all these things, great player. But I'm not saying he's Marcus Allen.
Gotcha.
I'm saying it again. I'm not saying he's Marcus Allen. I'm saying there's some similarities or some traits. And I just smile and I look at him. Interesting. So, long story, but he's not Marcus Allen.
Michelle, he's not Marcus Allen.
Okay, it's not Marcus Allen. Coach, I guess you've got a tight ends coach in Justin Wood, I guess.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about him? What made him the guy for the job, and what was his role before you brought him down on?
He's been involved in the offense. He interviewed for the position as well. So he knows, he's well aware of our offense. And it was an easy transition for him. And I think for Zach too, because he came to Zach. So he's excited about the opportunity. And he'll do a good job.
Was he serving as an analyst?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. So he's been here. He got here with Zach.
Zach Keenan, Devil's Digest in the back here, Coach.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask if you saw Trent Bourget was throwing pretty well during practice today. Do you expect a battle for second string with all the talent that you've brought in for recruiting as well?
Yeah, Trent, the thing about him, he has some leadership qualities. The players kind of just, it's the way his mannerisms and how calm he is, and he's very aware of our offense, and he does a good job of getting the ball out of his hands. He's kind of like baseball. I always look at baseball. Baseball, right? Everybody wants to hit a home run, right? Hit a triple. He just hits singles. Just keeps hitting singles. The thing he does, he throws a nice catchable ball, and he completes a lot of passes. And he knows his limitations. He knows, like, I'm not going to there, I'm going to go with you. He takes a profit. He takes a profit. He understands I got to take a profit. And I always tell quarterbacks, just take the profit, man. Don't gamble, just take the profit. And if you move the chains and you get the ball in the right guy's hands and they run with it, it's kind of like, okay, right? And it's interesting. But he's very aware of the offense and does a nice job, and he's very calm. He doesn't get all, it's not too big for him, right? And he's been here, and he kind of gets in, and the players, they love the guy. And he's just that kind of guy. He's that kind of personality. So it's fun to watch him play.
Thank you.
Dick?
This fly won't leave me alone. But I don't know if this was talked about much at all last week, but with Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC in the future, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on what that might mean for the Pac-12 in the future. Oh,
I think college football is about to change dramatically in the next 3 or 4 years. It's not going to be the same. It's just not. But now players have the ability to use their name and their image and their likeness. With certain conferences trying to get more teams in their conferences. And what is it all about? It's about the playoffs. It's like the National Football League. It's the playoffs. If they get to the number of 12, you folks won't be talking about, you won't talk about bowl games. You talk about who's going to get in the playoffs. And then the conversation will be, how many teams in such and such conference got in the playoffs? 4 teams from this conference, 3 teams from that conference, 2. We can't stop it. That's where it's going. And we all know it. I was in this conference when it was the Pac-8. And then it was the Pac-10. Now it's the Pac-12. And I'm sitting at home watching TV after I'm doing this job. I don't know what it's going to be. But that's where it's going, and we all know it. It's not like we're sitting here going, oh, what are they going to do? Playoffs is going to drive it. And conferences that have good teams in it have more chances to put those teams in there. That helps your recruiting lines. That helps your conference. That helps the conference you're in, right? It's going there, guys and gals. Okay? And we all know it. You can't fight it. What's going to happen?
You can't fight it, but do you like it?
It doesn't matter if I like it or don't like it. This is where it's going. Right? I mean, some kids don't like their peas. But you still got to eat peas when your parents put it on your plate. Whether you like peas or not. And you eat your peas. Okay? I don't like it, but you eat it. That's where we're at, and I don't think you can debate it. It's great conversation. When I was in your seat, television, this would be a nice conversation that you have. Maybe some, this. Nobody knows, but I just think get ready because it's changing. It's going to change. It's where it's going.
Nothing better than 3 Ps.
Yeah.
Last one, Michael.
Coach, you touched on obviously the defense being ahead of the offense without pads, but I mean, just your thoughts too, the growth of the linebackers and the defensive line as well from obviously the beginning of last year until now.
Well, I can remember when we announced that this guy named Roland Robertson and Will Butler, 2 freshmen, were going to play. Everybody looked at us like, what? they're going to play. They had 25 practices. They're starting. And everybody thinks like, oh, these guys are really in trouble. End up being pretty good players right now. They're two of the leaders on the football team. And it's funny to watch them. It's just, we've had them since they were pups. Right? They came in as freshmen and they were wide-eyed and they'd only come to practice. And by about the 9th or 10th practice, I kept going and looking at Danny. I said, you seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, yeah. He said, you got to play them. Don't let Pete play them. Don't worry about it. We'll live with it. I'm glad we did. And those guys, those kids are like my sons. They really are. Because they've been here from the beginning. They got here when I got here. That group of guys, and even the guys that were here before I got here, I've been with these guys now 4 years. And I want these guys to have success. I really do. Because they put in a lot of work.